And welcome to Abstract Essay, where ideas take shape, thoughts find depth, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest indeed. Well, one of her advocacy to help us to earn 40,000 a month, a worry-free, reliable income. No other than Miss Carol Tice.
Thanks for having me, Daniel.
Welcome on Abstract Essay. And Miss Carol, I want that 40,000 a month worry-free, reliable income. Tell us about it.
I feel like that's a low number these days. On School, the platform that I have my new paid community on, there's a lot of 100K a month earners. There's a lot of big money floating around because paid community is a hot niche right now. It's really exploding. And monthly membership revenue is that reliable income that I had for 12 years on the business I'm talking about on the story you're looking at that I sold in 2021 for life-changing money. And, remodeled the house, sold the house, bought the RV, and now and I'm here in the RV. And now we travel and I'm helping other coaches and consultants and experts to follow in my footsteps and launch paid communities at Community Growth Academy on School.
Miss Carol Tice, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss, Miss Carol?
What more would you like to know? Do you want to go back to the beginning of how this first community happened?
Yes.
Let's start there. So I was a longtime business journalist, and I ended up getting fired in a budget cut in 2005. And I started to read blogs, which but then were pretty new. And I was like, well, I want to start a blog. I know how to write, I could do this. And what I had noticed out in the marketplace was that a lot of freelance writers were not earning a lot of money. Like content mills had just emerged, and a lot of people were really getting ripped off, and that made me very mad. I was just like, no, you need to get paid what you're worth. And my original premise was just like I would sell a book with all my freelance tips, and I would make a fortune off it at the end. It was really my audience that told me, that kind of steered me to community, because they had a lot of questions and they were very individual. They needed a lot of answers. And I knew I couldn't be like the free Dear Abby of freelance writing. I needed to find some way to compensate myself for doing this and do it in a more efficient way. So I had done some coaching along the way. I did some one-on-one coaching and I got some results, but not so consistent. And then I did a small group. Then I started doing some small group coaching, and I saw that having that peer support was better. And then I joined a paid community for bloggers to improve their blog. And as soon as I got in it, I went, this is amazing. I love this. I'm learning so much. And there's nothing like this for freelance writers, and there really should be. And then I kind of mused along on that for a while. Oh, I don't know. I'm not technical. How would I do that? And I went to a online business conference in Chicago in probably spring 2011. And in July 2011, it was launched. I came home from that conference like really fired up. Like, I have to stop talking about this, and I have to just start asking my audience what they would want in paid community, what would they pay for it. So I did a survey and gave everyone who took it a discount on membership that they kept forever if they didn't quit. And some of those people stayed in for years. So I basically built it from what they told me they wanted. And then, you know, opened the doors and was just like that thing we've been talking about that said you need from me. Now it's open and you can join. And that's actually a pre-marketing project that builders do, build in public. People want ask. You need to build an audience around your expertise. You have people ask, so you have people you can ask, like, would you be interested in this? Would this help you? And if just sitting a course on autopilot would have helped them, like I could have just done that. But it's like their needs were so individual, and it's a space that keeps changing. What AI is doing now to it, right? So
Yes.
uh that's kind of the formula for a good community scenario where paid community will work well. It's an industry where you kind of need peers alongside you, supporting you, not just an expert telling you what to do. And there's new things changing and happening all the time that you need help understanding and get explained to you. So that I kind of fit right into that box with it. And at the time that we launched in 2011, there really wasn't a lot else exactly like that out there.
Well, Miss Carol, again, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And let's talk about overcoming fears of visibility, getting unstuck,
Mhm.
and building confidence in online business. What is your biggest fear when you first started showing up online, and how did you move through it?
I think I just was if I didn't know anything about marketing. I had been in journalism and, was taught that the marketing side of the paper was like the dark side of the force. We didn't interact, and I didn't know a thing about doing marketing. And I felt weird doing it. I felt like, oh, I'm bothering people. And, I would see the pros on a closing day of a campaign send like 10 emails to me, and I would be like, I'm never doing that. That's so rude. So I really had to kind of get over that and learn. Just, I signed up for some blogs like Copy Blogger, and I learned about online marketing and how to sell something in a not obnoxious and salesy way, and how to find kind of my marketing flavor, and do it in a providing helpful information kind of way. I'm just not a hard sell person. I probably could have made a lot more money if I had been willing to grind people. That's just not me. So that wasn't how I did it. But I also had 2 points in the growth of that business where I got stuck on where membership like plateaued and we weren't getting any bigger. And it took kind of reaching out and getting some outside opinions to get over each of those. So I'd say that's a big thing to say is like, if you're feeling stuck, don't just like sit in a corner going, oh, I'm stuck. Like, who could you ask who knows about your problem, who might be able to help you with it? So the first thing that happened is we were open all the time. We were just continuously open. And we went to about 500 members that way, and then that it was just not growing anymore. And I ran that problem by one of my mentors, and he was like, well, I think you need to close the doors and not be open all the time and feel more exclusive, and then people have to join when you're open because you're not always open. And I was terrified to do that. um, because then it's like people land on the site and they can't join and they go away and they're sad. We learned to build a wait list. I don't like leaving people unhappy, but we built a wait list, and we closed the doors. And from there, it went pretty rapidly to 1,000 members. We were just open like maybe half a dozen times a year for like a week. Each time would be kind of our marketing cycle. And then we were kind of stuck at 1,000 again. And I ended up hiring a business consultant that I met at a conference and paying her $10,000 to look at my business and tell me why I needed to I needed to grow it bigger because I had started to be approached by buyers and I had started to learn about what they wanted. And so this is the other big thing about the paid community model for coaches is what coaches do you know, Daniel, who have been able to sell their coaching business? They
Interesting.
can't say they are the business, right?
Yes.
It's Cindy Lou who coaching, and it's you one-to-one coaching. You're selling hours. You can't take yourself out of this business and sell it to someone else. You have no saleable asset. So it's kind of like you have no retirement plan. You're in business for yourself. You're not getting a pension from a company, and you are not creating a business that you can ever stop working in. And once I started getting approached, I knew because I'd covered mergers and acquisitions as a business journalist that, I definitely wanted an exit. And I learned there were a lot of things I kind of wasn't doing or wasn't doing right that I needed to change to kind of clean up the business and position it to be sold. And to do that, what I learned was that the math was not going to work unless I got to 1,500 members. So I needed to grow it again. And what the consultant pointed out to me was that I was going in a million directions. Over time, I was like, I'm selling a small group coaching program for mid-career writers. I had a joint LLC with another coach over there. So I was selling all these different things. And she was like, you need to understand that all of these other things are of no value to the buyer. They're not part of the business they could operate after you leave your coaching program. Get rid of all this stuff and only sell den memberships. And that's what we did. And that's what drove it to 1,500. And then I sold it in the depths of COVID winter to people I was never in a room with. So it was an incredibly strange experience, but enabled the lifestyle I have now and enabled me to think about retiring. But I missed helping people and helping people make money. That's my favorite thing. And
Yes.
I had a mentor say to me, "Well, you should do another community." And I said, "Well, I have a non-compete. I can't do another community about freelance writing because that's all I know, that's my life." And he said, "What did you learn in 12 years of operating a paid community?" And I was just like, paid community. Oh my God, I could talk about that all day. I love paid community. It's amazing. And there's a lot of ins and outs to operating it and to getting one launched. And we just started building Community Growth Academy because I just saw it as a way to really leverage my knowledge so much bigger. So it's like in my first business, I would help a writer and they would get a better gig and I would be happy. But in this one, I help someone launch a community and then they help hundreds of members. So it's like I'm so magnifying the impact of getting knowledge out to people. And I just love it. The first member we had launched by step course. So we have like a step by step, here's what you need to do. Here's how you open the doors. And he was a really experienced coach. He was a really experienced financial advisor, and his community just took off. So it's exciting. This is what I enjoy. So I'm just still doing it.
How do you handle the vulnerability hangover after putting yourself out there in a big way?
Mm. Well, it's funny you say that because actually, when I sold the business, the first business, one of the reasons I wanted to sell was because I felt like I looked too old to show up online anymore, to do what we're doing right now. I felt like I couldn't stand the sight of myself. I'm an old bag. I don't like how I look. It's a game for the young. I It really took me down. It really took me down a drain. I was like, I have to be done with this because my face is embarrassing. And, then I went away from it. And I think as I sat with that and thought about that negative self image, I just thought, I think the part of me that, rebels against the conformist part of society, like, started to rear its head, and I started to go, I'm not going to let, the internet be taken over by a bunch of 20 somethings who don't know anything just because, like, they have shiny lip gloss, and they're not really helping anyone. People who are mature adults have very serious, valuable expertise to share. And, like, I'm not going to disappear. They're not going to, intimidate me off the internet. And I'm glad I'm back. I haven't had any plastic surgery or anything. I'm basically the same me. And I just decided, like, I don't care, but it took me a few years. Like, it was 21 when I sold the business, and it was just the end of last year, like 24, when we launched Community Growth Academy.
What strategies have you found most effective for dealing with imposter syndrome when going live or launching something new?
Oh, I am not really an imposter syndrome person. I know that I know what I know. I'm not a youngster faking it. I had a traditional radio background. I used to be on KPFK Los Angeles. So I felt pretty confident going on. What I didn't feel confident doing was selling online. And I used to do, hour long, hour and a half long live sales webinars to, like, when the den was open, we would do a live free event, to get people to join and stuff. And those terrified me. Those, and I would always forget to say something really that I thought was really important. And I just stopped doing them live. I started taping most of it and just doing an intro and playing it, because why put yourself through that? If you've got, like, a core set of 7 tips you're going to give, like, make some slides, just prep I just think that there's all these conceptions about, like, how we need to present ourselves and how we need to be. And, eventually I just went, okay, well, all the big gurus say I need to do it this way, but I'm not going to. I thought it's too intense for me. I just don't like it. And I think that's pretty much now, Daniel, you've arrived at, like, really the big story arc for me, because every coach is told you need a $10,000 offer. You're nobody unless you're selling a $50,000 package a year to your clients. And that just never resonated for me. That never felt right, because the thing about high ticket is that it means you're going to help a few people, because selling high ticket is really hard. And then you find the whatever 12 clients you're going to work with this year. And I didn't want to help 12 people. I helped 12,000 people in my community for $25 a month. And that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to have greater impact, do less marketing because you have a lower ticket thing, easier to sell. And I wanted to spend more of my time helping people make more money, giving them the knowledge I have about online business, and not selling, 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 selling. And I think that's where every entrepreneur needs to get, is, like, there's a lot of conventional wisdom out there. And if it doesn't resonate for you, go another direction. I made all of my money on $25 a month. Like, the vast majority of the money I made in the business. We also sold courses. There were a few upsells, but really the cash cow was $25 a month. There's more than one way to run an online business. And I think you said you wanted to talk about why online business is the best model. And that we've kind of gone over some of that, which is it's a saleable asset, which most coaching businesses are not. And a lot of other types of online business really aren't very valuable. And it allows you to have that reliable income, which is amazing, and allows you to impact more people. You use the power of mass adoption to drive your price down so you can help thousands of people where you might have only helped, a dozen in a year. So I think for some of us, that's just really appealing. I know a lot of coaches really struggle to get those big ticket clients and may just feel like they're just not having the impact that they want, you know, going after that. And that's how I felt. And I went another direction. And I am so glad that I did because, you know, paid community is special. The other angle to it is that as time goes on, you create less and less. You're a convener. You don't have to answer every question. You know, it's the community members helping each other and posting their ideas. And that dynamic of kind of making this big family is amazing. And feeling like you connected people who needed that person who was going through the same thing they were, and there's no one like that in their town, and you really make a lot of really, really longtime friends. I just was in Europe for almost a month, and I met with 3 of my members in person, and it was just incredible, and some of them told me they still have the same accountability buddy they got, you know, a decade ago. They still call them. So you're, like, building a world, you know, a community of people that really bond with each other and with you. And also, they all are like your super fans blowing up your socials. There's just I could go on. It's a great model.
Great model indeed. And Miss Carol, as an entrepreneur, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
I well, my short-term goal is I'm trying to drive a community growth academy to 100 members. So I may not want it to be any bigger than that. I may want to run this community in a completely different way than I did my first business, where I really wanted thousands. Um, because launching a community's got a lot of complexity to it, and I'm really liking working very closely with my members. So I'm not sure where it goes. You know, I like to travel a lot. I'm still really feeling out where it goes, and it'll probably be like my first community. My audience will tell me what I should do, you know.
Definitely looking forward for that goals and good luck. And Miss Carol, looking for more success. And can you give a piece of advice for those people out there who want to be entrepreneur like you?
Well, the barrier to entry has never been lower. The platform I'm on, School, just started a $9 a month membership option. So you can start a community on School for $9 a month. That's insane. Their regular membership is 100 a month. So, you know, it's like if you have expertise, if you have an idea that you could convene a community around, there's sort of nothing stopping you now. When I started my first business in 2011, we had to hand build websites on WordPress and make, you know, chat forums, work on them, an affiliate program. It was insane and cost thousands and thousands of dollars a month. It was a huge expense to run it, which was why most bloggers didn't start a paid community, because it huge difference in cost. And now $97 a month. So, you know, or $9 a month. You get a few less benefits, but investing in yourself is the best thing you'll ever do. You know, especially with the way corporations are now, they treat people as disposable. You know, no one has job security, really. You know, see if you could get a business started.
Thank you for that advice, Miss Carol. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Yeah, the book that I thought your audience might like is called Rocket Fuel, and one of my mentors recommended it to me. The subhead is The One Essential Combination That Will Get You More of What You Want from Your Business. And it's by Gino Wickman and Mark Winters. And the premise behind this book is that uh, you need a number two. You're like the visionary, and you need like an execution person. And for me, that was my webmaster in my first business. And it really inspired me to kind of grow her role a lot and give her a lot of run room. And she did amazing stuff with the business that never would have happened if it was like just me trying to figure it out. So just an interesting book about, you know, building your team.
Well, thank you for that recommended book, Miss Carol. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth
Wow.
season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast. Law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in a third season, and Movie 101 Review, and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first
Wow.
season.
I
Let,
had seen
let's,
the book 101, which I could be interested in because obviously writers read a lot. So,
yes,
and I ghostwrite books is my sort of other business. So I'm all about
definitely.
books.
Please do come over. I'm gonna invite you. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Carol, if you could go back and give your just starting out self one piece of advice about visibility, what would it be?
Hire help sooner. Um,
Yeah.
I just, I went too long trying to figure everything out myself. I wasted a lot of time. And I remember hiring my first webmaster for like $500 a month, and which is like nothing. And immediately, the business started to take off.
Interesting, Miss Carol. Again, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Absolutely. You can find me at Community Growth Academy on School. And Daniel, I think you should have a link to the free case study all about how I built my first community and sold it
Yes, for
for
sure.
everyone to have for free.
Yes. Yes, people, let's support Miss Carol Tice because if you support her, for sure, more and more and more empowering business to come. So, Miss Carol, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
More to come, people. See you soon.